We are not intervening in this situation in Afghanistan. We are not intervening in the genocide in Iraq that's being caused by ISIS and ISIL against religious minorities, primarily Christians. We are not stepping in to assist the women who are being brutalized by ISIL. America is standing silent on the sidelines.
The former chairman of the House Intelligence Committee, Peter Hoekstra, on this program last week discussing allegations that American troops are being ordered to ignore child abuse committed by Afghan police and military personnel. According to a former U.S. Army captain, he and another soldier confronted an Afghan commander who was sexually abusing a boy. Both men claimed they were relieved of duty as a result, but the Afghan commander was not punished. For more, let's welcome in the former Defense Department spokesman, J.D. Gordon, who joins us from Newsmax Washington. He also was the former Chief Foreign Policy and National Security Advisor to 2012 presidential candidate Herman Cain. And via Skype from Tampa, Florida, retired Master Sergeant Scott Neal. Scott's a veteran of Iraq and Afghanistan and a Green Beret. Thanks to you both. Scott, you were wearing the uniform in the field. You were in Afghanistan. Did you ever hear or witness any type of abuse of the type that's being talked about now?
We certainly did. As Green Berets, we're always on the edge of very contentious places with contentious people that have different kind of societal norms. And if you recall, ever since the beginning of the war, we've kind of encountered that, and we've handled that through our Green Beret training to on the spot make an assessment and do something about it.
And so, can you tell us, when you confronted it, what did you do?
Well, there is no policy for this, and there is no action. It's up to those soldiers to immediately intervene, whether it's life-threatening. What if one of your own indigenous personnel or your security forces were executing the enemy on the spot without trial? We were expected to intervene, and it's the same thing with here. I mean, capturing, kidnapping, raping, sodomizing these young boys is a horrendous moral crime, as well as, it just can't go by unsettled.
J.D., the Pentagon is pushing back against the claims of the former Army captain, saying that our military does not have a written policy directing forces to ignore the sexual abuse. So I guess, J.D., the question would be this: since it's not written down, does that mean it's really a policy?
No, J.D., it doesn't at all. I agree with Scott. This has been going on since day one in Afghanistan. It's a problem. It's a cultural issue. Here's what's different. Under the Obama administration, the military has lost its moral compass from the leadership perspective. Look, these guys should be heroes for stopping a child rapist, but instead, they're getting thrown out of the military. That's the big difference, because nobody in the military wants to be seen as Islamophobic. The brass doesn't want to be seen as Islamophobic because President Obama doesn't want to offend anybody. That's the big difference here.
Well, Scott, J.D. is saying whatever goes on in Afghanistan's culture, it sounds like there's been a change in culture at the Pentagon under President Obama. Do you agree with J.D.'s assessment?
I believe I do. I think, the soldiers on the ground and special forces, we have a motto to our core, and it's called "Free the Oppressed." And we live by that. And when we first went into Afghanistan and we freed Afghanistan from the Taliban rule, we had cover from our leaders. They supported us 100%. As we go on throughout this war, it's 14 years later, and now soldiers are the ones fearing for their actions. They come home, they don't feel they're supported in the right way, and we're very disgruntled right now in this kind of decision.
So J.D. Gordon, go ahead, sir. Last word to J.D. Gordon.
Well, not only are the rules of engagement lax so that our guys could be killed because of it, the Obama administration tries to throw these guys under the bus. So I think we need to take a look at that. Americans ought to be worried. And I also think it's important to look at radical Islam. Look, Muhammad's youngest wife, Aisha, was 9 years old when that marriage was consummated. And even today in Yemen, girls 9, 10, 11 are dying on their wedding night because of being married to adults. So we got to challenge radical Islam. This Islamophobia has got to be tossed into the garbage can, because it's just a front from the Muslim Brotherhood. People have to get wise to it and push back on President Obama about this nonsense Islamophobia.
J.D. Gordon from Newsmax Washington, Scott Neal via Skype from Tampa. Gentlemen, you have our thanks. So it sounds like we have to look to the Commander-in-Chief. Who will be our next one? Newsmax wants to know who your candidate of choice is for the Republican nomination in 2016. Is it Donald Trump, Carly Fiorina, Dr. Ben Carson, or somebody else? Why don't you go online and let us know? Vote at newsmaxpolls.com. That's newsmaxpolls.com. We're coming back.